We're here in the first month of a new year, January 2025. Can you believe it? Wow, thank you for sticking with us. We've come through some dark times, and then we experienced the solstice, the return of the sun, signifying that return of the light. So the sun shines on this part of the earth longer these days. And the various celebrations of the light recognizes these longer periods of daylight in the northern hemisphere. So have you noticed the days are getting longer? Do you notice that the light stays with us longer? Do you notice the sun sets later? This is the time of year when we prepare to open to new things. It's winter in this hemisphere, and during the first part of winter, the plants are still dormant. They're resting up for their spring debut. And soon enough, deep underground, things start to happen. Oh, we can't see them yet, but the crocus is getting its little head ready to break through the earth's crust. The leaves are gathering energies for their sprouts in the spring. The birds and butterflies are resting and getting ready to make their northward trek. It's also this time of year we put away our Christmas ornaments. Holiday lights come down, the decoration gets packed away. But let us not pack away that feeling of joyful anticipation. Let us not pack away the light that we are. Let us not pack away the beauty and the truth that lives and shines through us. Now, maybe, like me, you've taken down the outside decorations, the outside lights, the blow-up Santas, the glow-in-the-dark reindeer, whatever it is. But in the house, I have to admit, there still remains Christmas things hanging around. Well, for me, it's all year long. But, the Christmas tablecloth, the poinsettia, the baubles on the Norfolk pine, which, by the way, is a Norfolk Island pine, which comes from the Pacific Island and grows really tall in Hawaii. So I don't know why we think it's a Christmas tree. Anyhow, sure, I'm no longer wearing my Christmas sweaters. So all is good on the outside. Everything is in its place. It's been neatened up. Now, what about the inside? The new year is a good time to clear the mental and emotional clutter so we can create room for those new possibilities to emerge. In 2025, the CSL Global theme is Rising Higher, Growing Deeper. And this is really about the essence of emergence, the idea that intricate systems and patterns evolve from many simple interactions. We say the whole is a mirror of its parts. The health of the cell is the health of the species, and the health of the species is the health of the planet. So we continue our drive to create a world that works for all. And in 2025, we're moving away from the yes, no, black, white thinking, opening ourselves up to a both and, a holistic approach. So we can integrate all aspects of life. And so this year, the theme moves us towards that greater awareness, a greater recognition, and a greater appreciation of the incredible vastness of the divine through all of its multiple facets. And so as we embark on this rising higher, growing deeper, we revisit the fundamentals of science of mind, especially this time of year, January. We go over the first 4 chapters of the textbook. Last week, Reverend Rainbow talked about the thing itself. This week, I'm talking about the way it works. And then the other chapters are what it does and how to use it. I highly recommend these chapters. Like the chapter on the way it works is only about 5 pages. So it's important to realign with these core principles, but also to expand our understanding into our daily lives. So this is what we'll do. We're going to explore how to stretch into higher and deeper possibilities by grounding into those science of mind principles. So the way it works. Well, I think the song Shine Through Me really tells you about the way it works. It is the answer. It says, let me be a candle. Let me be a radiant star. Let me be a beacon shining who you are. Let me be the miracle I've been dreaming of. Let me be a lantern of your love. Let the light within me help this troubled world to see, and use this willing vessel shine through me. See, the way it works is it works through us, and it's done unto us as we believe. Now, you have to get that. It's done unto us as we believe, not as we wish, not as we declare, not even as we affirm, but as we believe. So the purpose of affirmation, the purpose of treatment is to set our minds in alignment with the flow as we believe. So this is how Ernest Holmes talks about it in chapter 2 of The Science of Mind. He says, we are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We're surrounded by, immersed in, and there is flowing through us a creative something, call it what you will. The sum total of all our thought, will, purpose, belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. So we've actually been working with this law of life throughout our entire existence, even if we're unaware of it, and maybe especially when we're unaware of it. And this is not a new truth. But sometimes the awareness of the truth is new, and sometimes I need to be reminded of it. The law of life is always in motion, responding to the thoughts, beliefs, feelings we impress upon it, whether consciously or unconsciously. Wow. Okay, this is one of the first things we learn in Science of Mind, to be responsible for our own lives. And by making space within ourselves to become more aware of how we influence this law, we open the door to powerful life shifts. Because until we know what we're doing, we don't know which parts to encourage. So it's not about judging or rejecting parts of ourselves, but about creating a safe space, a kind space where we can embrace all that moves within us, even the thoughts and emotions that may not align with what we desire. Because in embracing that, we pave the way for deeper understanding and transformation. So remember this idea, rising higher, growing deeper. This act of making space within ourselves to allow us to consciously engage with a creative process, this turns reactive patterns into intentional, life-affirming choices. Choices. Ernest Holmes also says in this chapter, the thing itself, then works for us by working through us and is us always. It cannot work in any other way. It spreads itself over the entire universe and shouts at us from every angle, but it can become power to us only when we recognize it as power. Therefore, our beliefs set the limit to our demonstration of a principle which, of itself, is without limit. It is ready to fill everything because it is infinite. So it's not a question of its willingness nor of its ability. It's a question of our own receptivity. So with that, yes, I need to make space. I need to be receptive to these new ideas. I need to be receptive to the changes. See, that law of life that's operating through us, constantly expanding into effect through our living, this law, it doesn't think, it doesn't discern. Its only purpose is to co-create what is present in our minds and hearts. So we are very powerful and unlimited. The only limits are those that we self-impose. And golly, I've done a lot of that. Wow, I've got some amazing self-imposed limits. You might be surprised, but then again, maybe you wouldn't be. So Whether we entertain thoughts of joy and peace or thoughts of hatred and harm, the law says yes. It fulfills its purpose through the mental and emotional patterns that we hold. And again, Ernest Holmes says we cannot live a choiceless life. Every day, every moment, every second, there is choice. So then, if every minute there is choice and we're making room to be more receptive, then how do we make space? How do we make space for rising higher, growing deeper? I thought I hit the ceiling already. I thought I was rooted, but there's always more. There's always an expansion taking place in spirit. So one way of rising higher and growing deeper is silence. Silence offers a sacred space where we can align more deeply with that creative process that's at work within us. So in the stillness, we become more attuned to the flow of thoughts and feelings, and we allow the law to respond to our highest intentions rather than reacting. So let's just try that. We're just going to try maybe, I don't know, 15, 20 seconds of silence. Okay, we'll go 30 seconds just to see what happens. Silence offers a space for us. So what happened in the silence? Kind of felt my shoulders relax. And then there was this question about, oh my gosh, is this too long? What's going to happen next? What happens if nobody likes the silence? So, it takes a while to quiet the mind. Charles Fillmore tells us this. He says, when a body of water is choppy with fitful currents of air, it cannot reflect objects clearly. So neither can we reflect the steady, strong glow of omnipotence when our mind is disturbed by anxiety thoughts, fearful thoughts, or angry thoughts. As you can imagine, that sea of choppy waters, and you don't see a reflection in it. But when you go to a calm pool of water, you can see the reflection, you can see the sky in it, and it seems to go on forever. Indra Devi, a yoga pioneer, says this. It's like water which can clearly mirror the sky and the trees only so long as its surface is undisturbed. The mind can only reflect the true image of the self when it is tranquil and wholly relaxed. So that's one way for us to go deeper. Rumi says, listen to the silence. It has so much to say. Which reminds me about the boy and his father. They were walking in the mountains, and suddenly the son falls, hurts himself, and screams. And to his surprise, he hears the voice repeating somewhere in the mountain. So curious, he yells, who are you? And he receives the answer, who are you? And angered, as a response, he says, well, coward. And he receives the answer, coward. And he looks at his father and asks, what is going on? And the father smiles and says, my son, pay attention. And then he screams to the mountains, I admire you. And the voice answers, I admire you. And again, the man screams, you're a champion. And the voice answers, you're a champion. And the boy, surprised, but he doesn't understand. And then the father explains, people call this an echo. But really, this is life. It gives you back what you think, what you say, what you do. Our life is a simple reflection of our thoughts. If you want more love in the world, create more love in your heart. If you want more competence in your team, improve your competence. The relationship applies to everything in all aspects of life. Life will give you back everything you've given to it. Your life is a reflection of you. And while we say that we're influenced by circumstances such as feeling hot in the middle of a Texas summer, our true power lies not in controlling conditions. Sure, we can turn on the air conditioner, and that works, and that's what we do. But if we master our thoughts and beliefs about those conditions, then the creative law responds to our habitual thinking. And it shapes our lived experiences according to, well, the sum total of all our thoughts, our ideas, our beliefs, and our opinions. So there isn't one single perfect thought to hold. Like maybe you have a mantra, but it doesn't cover everything. It's crucial to become aware of the thoughts we're having and recognize their impact on our reality. Ernest Holmes tells us what we demonstrate today, tomorrow, and the next day is not as important as the tendency which our thought is taking. The dominant attitude of our mind, if every day things are a little better, a little happier, a little more harmonious, a little more health giving and joyous, if every day we're expressing more life, then we're going in the right direction. And understanding this connection to our thoughts and our experience is the key to grasping how the thing works through us. Sometimes we gauge the law reactively, allowing our beliefs and thoughts to be shaped by circumstances. We say, well, this happened, therefore I'm going to react this way. Only we don't even think about it, we just do it. But what if we consciously chose the thoughts and beliefs we hold rather than reacting? Oh, wow, wouldn't that be something? See, by shifting from this reactive mindset to one of intentionality, we could actually profoundly transform our lives. What would that be like? That shift in awareness allows us to align more closely with that creative power, leading us to a life where we consciously cultivate experiences and the outcomes we desire. One of the things I've noticed is I've become really good at manifesting things. Um, things just show up in my life. When we used to have classes here, the students would call it the magic house because whatever we need, I would produce from someplace in the house, making things up lots of times, but, things serve dual purposes. Now, when we make this shift, it doesn't have to be a complete about phase, though it could be. Things can happen instantaneously. Lots of times we don't make those changes overnight. And so I like to think about healing as like catching a healing. Like you catch a cold. So in our scientific knowledge, we understand that sometimes we get a cold or the flu or food poisoning, but these things don't manifest instantaneously in our lives. But we know now that there's a cause behind these things, and one of the causes may be a bacteria, a virus, those things which we can't see, and whatever we call it, it's something that enters into our physical body, and then it goes to work multiplying and creating havoc, which manifests itself as the flu, as a cold, as food poisoning, and which maybe you see in a couple hours, or a flu bug may be around 2 or 3 days before you have symptoms, but you get the idea. We catch a healing, we catch the idea, and then it manifests in our lives. So about, oh my goodness, 35 years ago or so, I caught a healing. And it was amazing to me, and it was so visible. I have to have things visible to me before I really jump into it. And what happened was I'd been to a New Thought revival with Dr. Craig Curtis, who was very, he was well known in the New Thought world at that time. And he had done a treatment, and we all joined in, just in in our own ways. And he says, so whatever you want to heal in your life, just imagine the perfection of it. So here's the deal. I had warts on my hands, which I did not like. I had had them cut off. I'd had them burned off. I'd had several things happen, but they kept coming back. So I said, okay, I have this perfect thumb with no wart on it. So I'm going to imagine the other thumb looking exactly like that. Well, except opposite because it's the other thumb. So it was amazing to me. Now that wart didn't fall off overnight. I will tell you that. But within 3 weeks, I had no warts on my hands at all. And after years, that was a miracle. So it didn't happen the first moment. It didn't happen the first day. It didn't just fall off, but it was gone. Because in the instant that I had that healing, whatever was creating, whatever was the cause behind that, stopped. And so the natural health of my body took over. That's how it works. So, in order for us to prevent a cold or the flu or a virus, we know now wash your hands, take preventative measures, wear a mask, whatever that happens to be. So, here's my question. What preventative measures do we take to stay spiritually healthy? I don't have the answer yet. But I think every day when we do our affirmations, when we do our treatments, when we read, when we study, when we take classes, these are the preventative measures that we take to stay spiritually healthy. And doing our everyday meditation, that's the hand washing. Okay, so Ernest Holmes again tells us, knowing that the thing can only work through us. Let me do that again. Knowing that the thing can work for us only through us. Let us begin today to accept more good than we experienced yesterday, and to know that we shall reap a harvest of fulfilled desires. The time must come when we shall have left the apparent evil behind, when it should be rolled up like a scroll and numbered with the things that were once thought to be. Robert Schuller, Billy Graham, New Thought minister, all died, and after a few weeks, Satan called St. Peter to complain. He said Schuller is using possibility thinking, Graham is preaching and saving everyone, and the New Thought minister is dancing around saying, this isn't hell and it's not hot. It's not just that one thought, but our repetitive thoughts are powerful forces that shape our reality. Now, we don't need to police every single thought or word that comes to mind, and that would be, oh my gosh, exhausting and counterproductive. But what we are today comes out of the thoughts of yesterday. And our present thoughts build our life tomorrow. Life is the creation of our mind. And the sum total of the thinking is often reflected in our emotions. And our emotions, they kind of serve as a barometer for our mental state. And when we pay attention to our emotions, positive or negative, we trace them back to the thoughts that preceded them. And then we see the patterns that shaped our experience. Now, we don't have to do this. We don't have to dissect every little thought we have and say, oh my gosh, this is happening because of this and that and the other thing. But we have to be willing to change our thought. Michael Beckwith says our task is not simply to fix something that's broken, not to set it right, but to see it right. Not to set it right, but to see it rightly. So this week, let us shine. Let the Spirit shine through us. And I invite you to deepen your awareness of your thoughts. Here's a simple practice we can do. Take some time each day to sit with the question, what I know to be true about myself right now is, and write it down just as it comes to you. Don't worry about whether you like what you write or you kind of censor it. Don't do that. Just write it down. Simply let it flow because this is the way that you're going to find out what you really believe. And it goes deeper and it rises higher. And in doing so, you allow yourself to see the thoughts that are shaping your experience. Now, if you uncover something that feels uplifting and true, embrace it. If you notice a thought that no longer serves you, this is an opportunity to gently replace it with one that aligns with your highest good. This is where we bring in the affirmation. This is where we replace that thought that isn't serving us with one that does serve us. And by making space for this kind of awareness, we open ourselves to greater spiritual growth and transformation. So I invite you, let us go forward with the intention to consciously create this year from a place of clarity and a place of truth. Let's take that thought into our spiritual mind treatment today. Just knowing without a shadow of a doubt that there is a power, there is a presence, there is an infinite source, there is divine cause, first cause, spirit, by whatever name we call it. It is more than we can imagine. It is ever expanding, ever rising higher, ever growing deeper, and we are rising higher and growing deeper with it. And it can only work for us by working through us. And that means it's right where we are in every moment. And so let us align ourselves with the divine thought for our highest good. And if we don't know what that highest good is, we open ourselves to knowing that. When I find myself unwilling, I treat for willingness. And I'm treating for willingness to be willing. So I'm treating for the openness to be open. Baby steps. And so knowing that Spirit is working through me, opening up my heart, opening my mind, manifesting those thoughts that are for my highest good. And so I release and I let go. I let go of anything that's not serving me. I let go of anything that is past and I let it be past. And I let go of the future, the ideas that I might have about the future. And I come into the present moment where I am at choice. And so in this moment, I choose to be open. I choose to feel the Spirit move through me. I choose to be a vessel for love. And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful to have company along the path. I'm so grateful for the people, for the love that surrounds me. And I know it is a reflection of the love that I am. And so, as each one of us accepts these words, being the love, being the light, I let it be. I know these words have been accepted by that law that simply co creates with us. And so I can relax in the knowing that it is already done, and I can hardly wait to see the outward manifestation. How perfect. I let it be, and so it is.